Hey guys, how's it going? Kind of a bad day today. I think it's a possible issue with the truck that's not good. I've been trying to hold it off and just trying to see if it fixed itself, but for the past month and a half, ever since I did the aux radiator delete, I'm noticing that I have some coolant coming out of the overflow tank, or the coolant reservoir itself. So I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. You got this hose right here that comes from up here, right here, and it's been spitting out fluid. So the symptoms, I don't know, the symptoms are the truck it has a coolant bypass. I have no leaks anywhere, like on the side of the block, anywhere. No coolant in the oil, no like milky substance, which I guess you could say, and it doesn't leak when it's just sitting there. So I'm not sure exactly what it is, but the more research I've done, I'm starting to think it's possibly a blown head gasket. I got A.R.E 625s on here. I don't know why it's blown, but I guess the people that have seen blown head gaskets with 625s are people that have done a one-for-one swap like myself. So I'm gonna do a little bit more research. I have an emissions tester over here on the workbench. I'll show you guys that real quick. So I bought one of these from Napa. It's a block tester. What it does is it pretty much just goes in your coolant reservoir. As so, you do it like that. You put that blue fluid in there, and then you use this little like squeegee ball thing to suck up the emissions through there. And if it's bad, it would turn like yellow. This would like turn like yellow or green. So we're gonna try that here in a few hours. I'm gonna give the truck some time to sit, cool down, and I'm gonna see if the tank is still pressurized. And if the tank is still pressurized, that's kind of a giveaway that it's actually bad. Another sign that it might be bad. And also, I don't have a seal on there, like a rubber O-ring on the cap itself, so I'm kind of unsure if that's gonna be an issue as well. So you guys will see it here in a second. All right, the truck's been off for about 2 hours, so we'll see if she's still pressurized. No, that's a good sign. But the pressurization could have went out the side here, so we'll see. Alright, so here's our kit. We're going to try this. This is to just repeatedly do it for a minute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it cold and then I'm going to do it hot. If this turns yellow or green, then we got we got some exhaust emissions. So far that's a good test. The fluid stayed blue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drive the truck around. I'm going to get it up to heating operating temperature, and I'm going to do it again. I'm going to get that thermostat to open, and when that thermostat opens, you do the test again. Hopefully it's not like spewing hot and it comes out of the radiator coolant tank, but that's what the instructions tell me to do, so that's what I'm going to do. I did it cold, now I'm going to do it hot. I'm going to get her to open up to about 185-ish or whatever. I don't know if you guys can see, and then I'll bring her back and do that test. Focus on this camera sometimes is pretty crappy, so if you guys can see it, there we go, 130. She's starting to warm up pretty good. 172. About 185 is kind of where it stabilizes at, so that's the temperature I'm going to try to get it to, or close to it, and then I'll let it sit in the driveway for a little bit and idle, and without any airflow across the radiator, it should get the temperature up maybe like 190-ish or something, and I'll try to do that coolant leak test again. All right, pulling back into the neighborhood, we got 185, and I think the highest I seen it was 207, but that was me like getting on it, so we'll be surprised. Man, this focus sucks. But we'll be surprised if we actually can get the cap off without there being too much pressure in there. So we'll give it a shot when we get pulled into the driveway. All right, well, this is interesting. As I pull in here, I got coolant everywhere. I don't know exactly what happened, but it's interesting. something that worries me is you guys see all this coolant right here. I don't know if this fitting right here is leaking, and that's what's making all the fluid go everywhere. But it's kind of hard to tell right now because I don't think it's warmed up enough. But there's a lot of coolant right here. If you look at the hood up here, looks like that's where it hit, and it kind of just went everywhere. So I don't know if it's a head gasket or not. If you look at the coolant, it's blue. There's no yellow, there's no green. The cap's off. I don't feel any pressure. The temperature of the truck is about 180 degrees. It really only gets about 5 to 10 degrees cooler than that. But there's a lot of coolant everywhere, so I wonder if something right here is leaking when it gets under pressure. Maybe this little fitting right here, when I did the auxiliary coolant delete, didn't work real well. Maybe I just need to get a metal fitting that goes in here and see if it stops. So that's what I'm gonna lean on right now. All right guys, you see this right here, like I'm moving it? It's kind of hard to see. Let me see if I can put you guys down. When I move this, see the bubbles? That's promising. So I'm pretty sure that's where the damn fluid came out that sprayed the entire engine bay. So I need to get rid of this fitting. I thought it would work, but obviously it didn't. There used to be another line that came off of here into the auxiliary radiator. When I deleted that, I just put that on there with a zip tie. I'm an idiot. We all learn. So yeah, there's a mess under here, but it's able to be cleaned up. I'll clean it up here in a little bit. Kind of gives me a better feeling about doing a damn head gasket. I was kind of nervous about that. Not nervous, but I just didn't want to do it. So I'm gonna fix this line. I may just order the line from the factory or from Dodge themselves tomorrow, and just get the one line that goes all the way around. That goes from there, comes around, and it plugs in right here. So hopefully we'll get that fixed tomorrow or the next day, and she should be good to go, but I'll keep you guys updated. One thing that'll throw you off if you're not really used to using air conditioning yet, just quite yet, is this. I think that's it. There's that nub that comes out of the firewall, or that, like the connector. That's your AC condenser's drain. So I was pouring water all over the bottom, may have confused it with some coolant. But this stuff up here was definitely coolant. So I'm not going to drive her until then. Cleaned her up a little bit. Got some coolant stains on my turbo. That's not fun. You guys have any ideas of how to get that off? Just comment down below, please, and thank you. But yeah, if you guys can see that black line coming out of the dash there, that's where the water was coming out of for the air conditioning. And of course my carpet's wet on the passenger side, so that's that. Found that real quick. Yeah, we'll let her sit overnight, put some more coolant in her, start her up a little bit, see if we can get this joker to, hell, I don't even know if we're gonna do that. I'm probably just gonna get this line tomorrow, take the wife's Mercedes and go get it. Alright guys, so I've been messing with her all day, let her cool down. She got up to temperature just sitting in the driveway. She's 177 degrees right now. And I filled her to the brim with coolant. Come over here, I filled her up to about right here with coolant. But as soon as the thermostat opened, it was able to get some coolant going through there. I just don't feel like there's a lot of pressure on this dang water pump that's coming out. So I'm kind of wondering if it's the water pump or whatever the case may be. It's a freaking pain in the butt, man. I really don't think it's a head gasket. I'm hoping it's not a freaking head gasket, but it's just a pain in the butt. I just don't know if Whirly has problems with their seals on their tanks, and honestly I'm kind of on the edge about ordering a Fleece tank to see if that'll work, because I threw my old one away, and the old one comes like right about here, sitting pretty close to the actual the turbo itself. So I don't know. I'm gonna let it warm up a little bit more. I'm not sure what the thermostat's at, but the coolant neck over there and the coolant line that I got over there is pretty warm, and so is the Fleece bypass. So we'll see.
but been kind of messing with it all day, just trying to give some ideas of what it might be. And I'm still kind of stumped, so if you guys have any ideas, let me know. I'm trying to do the cheapest thing possible before I have to go the head gasket route. If I got to replace the head gasket, I got to replace the head gasket, but I'm trying to knock out things in order, not just jump straight to that, if that makes any sense.
Alright, just so an update you guys, I see I put the single male-to-male end fitting. I got rid of the actual T-fitting. And then I got a pressure test set right here hooked up to the radiator cap. I'm gonna see what kind of pressure I'm building in my coolant tank. Let's see if you guys can see. Yeah, that's so. Looking for around 15 to 16 PSI. Anything lower than that, that's fine, but like anything higher, it's gonna another sign of a blown head gasket.
Alright guys, she's at high idle right now. I just drove her around the block, get her up to temperature about 185. And now she's sitting in the driveway high idling, and I can't get her to build pressure in the coolant tank. So that's a good sign, but at the same time I'm still stuck. There's not really an answer. I see that the bottom of the coolant tank is actually leaking a little bit from the fluid level sensor that's in there. So I may have to take that off and redo it. It was a crappy seal from the get-go. But, I mean, that's just a couple drops, and I don't know if they can, I'll show you guys on the engine bay. A couple drops there, but I got her at a high idle right now, trying to get her up to about 190 and see if I can build any pressure. I got her up to 190. She's at a high idle, about a 1400 RPM. And now I'm gonna see if she starts building pressure when it comes to the coolant tank. Off the high idle and shot up to 4 psi. Alright, so after the high idle, turned it off, it shot up to about 4 psi, and now I'm just letting it sit right now to see what kind of pressure builds up in there. I have no leaking coolant out of the side of the overflow, and this is the hottest it's been. I just took it around the block, got it up to temperature about 185, doing about 60 miles an hour, getting on a little bit of nothing crazy, and this is it. So she got the 203 sitting in the driveway at high idle at 1500 RPM, and I'm just going to leave this coolant pressure tank tester on there for probably another 30 minutes to see where I get it at. Right now it's like 4 psi, so, and there's no coolant leaking out of the bottom. And when I was messing with it before, like pressurizing the tank with the pump itself, I could, you know, obviously the pressure would climb. I could get up to like 14, 15 psi, and then when I let it off, I could hear the gurgling of the bubbles. So just trying to troubleshoot every possible way before I actually have to, if it is that head gasket, which I'm still like 50-50, man. I'm not buying it, so not yet. And now she's bleeding down on her own. So at the highest she was at like 5 psi. Now she's just bleeding down on her own. I haven't touched her. This is literally like 10 seconds ago from the last recording. Leave the pressure off, the rest of it, the remaining pressure, 2 psi. That's not good. All right, so my final consensus I came up with was that T-fitting. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about real quick. Y'all let me know if you think I'm wrong. Just leave it in the comments below. But I think this deal right here, let me pull it out. I think it was causing some of the issue. And hear me out when I say this. God damn, come on. So hear me out when I say this. This was connected like this. We had the overflow coming off of this side for the radiator, and we had this side going back to the coolant tank. Now, what I'm thinking was, it was bleeding off the pressure right here at this cap that I have on here, this little, it came off an SMB CCV delete. So I think the pressure was bleeding off through there, letting the coolant actually come back up and unpressurize that with hot coolant in there, so it's gonna vent overboard. So you don't keep the pressure on it like it's supposed to have, it's gonna come out just like you guys saw. As soon as I took that pressurization hose off of there, off of that Rena tool, it started spewing out, right? I looked like an idiot. But that's kind of what I'm thinking. You guys let me know what your opinion is. I'm gonna ride it for a little bit, see how it does. I mean, it's something as simple as a $3 male to male in to fix the hose connection could have fixed this problem. I hope that's the issue, or I hope that's the permanent fix to it, because I don't beat my truck up, you know. I don't see why it would have a head stud issue, or not a head stud issue, a head gasket issue. She's a young truck mileage wise, and it just does not make sense. And that's why I kept asking, like, you know, on some of the Facebook forums I was on, is like, if it's the head gasket, let me know, and let me know why. You know, I think a lot of people are keyboard mechanics and just like, oh, head gasket, you know, because that's what their buddies, uncles, cousins, brothers said. So a lot of people, I just want to make sure the guys that were doing the work on these vehicles or have the experience with these vehicles kind of gave me some truth in reporting, I guess you could say. I did get a lot of help, a lot of useful information off that 6.7 page that I monitor on Facebook, or I'm part of on Facebook, and I did get some good pointers. So we did, first and foremost, we did the emissions test. There's no emissions in the coolant. Next thing we went to was the pressurization. And as you guys saw just a second ago, it was like 2 PSI at most, and then up to at most 5 PSI. When I let off the pressure, obviously all the coolant came back because it had a way of escaping. And if that coolant cap is on there, then you should be fine. So final overall verdict, that little male to male fitting, hopefully that holds it. I just drove it to drop off that part back off at Napa to return it, you know, the rent-a-tool thing, and I have no coolant leaking anywhere off the side of the block. So that's a good promising sign. Of course, it was only like a 3-mile round trip or 4-mile round trip, but that's what I'm gonna call it. So please, if you guys have any information or anything else you think I could do to kind of further troubleshoot, other than, you know, replacing the head gasket right off the bat, then let me know. Leave a comment down below. If you still think it's the head gasket, let me know in the comments, you know, just let me know why. What are your thoughts? I called around today to see how much it would be to get the head, what do they call it, you know, x-rayed, I guess, to see if they have any cracks in it, and decked and pressure checked and fire ringed. And one of the shops quoted me about $1,300. That's with the fire ring gasket. So tough pill to swallow right now. Really not in a spot right now to actually be spending that kind of money on the truck, due to the simple fact that we're trying to buy a house and get all our ducks in a row credit wise. But it's just, it wasn't in the playing cards. But 2020 hasn't been good really to us, or I think a lot of people in general so far. So that's where we're at. That's what I'm gonna leave it with. But once again, I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate your guys' support. Please like, comment, subscribe, and until then, we'll see you guys on the next upload.